Hey, what is going on, everybody? What's going on, Feral community? This is my 10.1 guide. My name is Blue. This is my 10.1 guide, probably the laziest guide possible, but this is how we're going to go about it. So now, if you are looking to play Feral Druid and you're newer, what I would look at is basically my 10.0 guide, some of my older guides where I put a lot more effort into it, and then transition slowly over to this video. This video is going to be specifically for the individuals that are already playing Feral in the past. And you kind of just want to say, hey, Blue, what is going on? What is changing? Okay. So that's what we're going to cover. Now, first thing that I want to talk about is what is this spec? I think a lot of people are misunderstanding, and there's probably a lot of people that are complaining about Feral Druid in the raids, specifically in single target. Now, what I would say is they are slowly shifting, taking a little bit of AoE and putting in our single target, and I think that is fine because I do feel like Feral Druid, which is an M plus spec, is probably suffering a little bit. It could be tweaked a little bit to be even better in M plus by having a little bit more single target. In ad week, it does amazing, but even in ad week, if you're getting to the super high keys like a 25, I've never seen a 25, but I'm just guessing, the bosses are still going to live for an exceptionally long time. And even though you're doing amazing ad damage, which you need to do, you're probably going to feel like you're doing a little bit of a disservice to your team because you're not producing that single target number, which is still going to be valuable. And then when it comes to just like the boss weeks, you're still going to feel like a little bit of a disservice and a little bit unvaluable. So again, I'm okay with having a little bit of shift, but what I'm not okay with, you guys, is Feral Druid is an M plus spec. It is not a raid spec, you guys, and you guys probably don't want to hear that. It kind of sucks to hear. It is not a raid spec. It's always going to be middle of the pack. And if you were wondering, Blue, why is that? You're full of crap. Just imagine if Feral Druid was a very good raid spec and it was top of the damage meters, and then go ahead and read Apex Predator's Craving, and then just imagine if you took that good single target into an M plus with Apex Predator's Craving, what would happen, right? So I'll just let you think about that, and that is the reason why Feral Druid, because of that one talent, is not very good single target and probably will not ever be. Okay, so I apologize to you guys, but also stop complaining about it because I don't want Feral Druid to get changed too much and then them to gut our AoE a huge amount just because there's a lot of complainers that don't really understand the spec. With that said, let's go ahead and go into what has been changed. So 10.1 has changed Berserk, okay? And it's very easy for me to see how Blizzard wants us to play the spec by how they balance the spec, okay? So with the changes to Berserk, please understand that this is a net nerf overall to Berserk, but you may like the playstyle, and that is fun. And that's fine. The reason why this is a nerf to Berserk is the old Berserk, you could manipulate how many combo points you would receive back. And then you can also manipulate it further through your rotation, a fast rotation, but also being hasted by Bloodlust, right? So that's why you're going to see, Berserk overall received a nerf. It's not as strong. That's because this new Berserk is static. You're always going to receive the same amount of combo points in, but the old Berserk, you could kind of affect it a little bit more, and as your stats increase, as your builds increase, your haste increase, of course, you're going to be getting more damage, right? But what the new Berserk does is it opens up better builds. Builds that were not meta, okay? And that's because the old Berserk, we were just pressing shred, bite, as you're probably aware. Now we're basically being forced to press other abilities, and because of that, we're going to see Blood Talons be reintroduced for us. Now, a lot of you may be like, well, Blue, I don't like Blood Talons. I hate pressing Blood Talons. But because of how they changed Berserk, you're probably going to be proccing Blood Talons either way, whether you're talented into it or not, so you might as well talent into Blood Talons. Some other changes to be on the lookout for. I'm not going to go over talents, specifically raid talents, because I'm not in that area really much anymore. But yes, check out Blood Talons. You also need to be checking out Convoke of the Spirits. Convoke of the Spirits has been buffed. Convoke of the Spirits, if you're looking into it and testing it, please understand Convoke of the Spirits is more of a single target option, okay? So if this does become meta that we start taking this into M+, understand it is more of a single target option. Yes, you can cast this on big AoE packs, but you'd probably be benefiting more if those big AoE packs died out a little bit and maybe there's just two big guys left. I would probably use that Convoke then, where you can kind of manipulate the Convoke RNG to force out more bites. Okay, another one to be looking out is Relentless Predator. The way that the new tier piece is working is we're going to be getting combo points. Free combo points at a specific time. There's going to be 4 coming in at a certain time frame, and you're going to feel occasionally forced, if you're at 5 combo points already and you see that sucker proc, but you have no energy, you're going to be forced to bite at 0 energy or at the least amount of energy possible so that you don't waste those combo points, okay? Now, because of that, we may want to spec into Relentless Predator, or we may not want to do that. We may want to, because it's a very cheap, it's a very weak talent. It only reduces the cost of bite by 5 energy, which really isn't good. So we may be saying, hey, instead, I want to assist that energy situation. Maybe go into Tireless Energy, or maybe go into Moment of Clarity. Moment of Clarity this patch is actually going to be better than it was before, because I would say most of you are probably going to be running a lot more Haste than you ever had before, because Haste, hello, is going to be good. I don't know whoever told you that, but it's going to be good. Now let's go ahead and look at our tier set. So I was watching today, Eisen produced this, which is really great. I have no idea where to get this information, especially when it relates to other specs. But we can see here, Feral Druid, I don't know the stats and the gear that they're getting this information from, because it definitely is going to affect this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the 2 set, it's looking like a 3.3% increase, and then the 4 set is looking about a 9.1 increase. Please understand, unlike other specs in the game, Feral Druid can manipulate the 2-piece and the 4-piece. So at the beginning of the expansion, your 2-piece and 4-piece is not going to be as strong as it will at the end of the expansion, okay? Because the strength of these 2 and 4-piece can be increased by statting Haste, okay? So keep that in mind. Also, you should keep in mind the tier set in general is going to be better for AoE situations. It's going to be very strong AoE situations. And again, it's specifically in M+, those occasions that I talked about where you're already full combo points and you're seeing this proc and you want to kind of you want to get rid of those combo points as much as possible so you don't waste the proc combo points. It's easier to do that in M+ than it will be kind of in Raid. Because you're generally a lot more starved of energy in Raid than you are in M+, okay? So yeah, generally it's going to do a lot better in AoE. Okay, so with that said, let's take a look at stats. I'm actually going to go ahead and look at the Wowhead. Usually I'm a big critic of the Wowhead. I think the Wowhead actually did a decent job this time, so we're going to go ahead and go over that. So crit, if you're not aware, it's just double damage, increases your, if you crit, you get more combo points for your spells. Haste increases the tick rate of your bleeds, okay? It needs to say, you guys, and I know nobody believes me about Haste. I don't know why everybody doesn't know about Haste, but just take a gem of Haste and put it on your gear. You will see that Haste increases your bleed damage. It should say that. Haste increases your bleed damage. And then at certain percentages, it does increase the tick rates of your bleeds. This is a little bit more important when we're talking about rips. We would like to increase the rips, or the ticks of our rips, to occur more often, because that scales with our talent Apex Predator's Craving. And then, of course, it's going to give us energy regen. Mastery increases the damage of all our finishers and bleeds, and Versatility increases damage and healing and reduces damage taken. Now, if you were a Feral Druid Raider in the past, you would probably see Versatility sneaking higher and higher up. Okay, so you, in your mind, you think, okay, no matter what Blue says down here, I know as a Raider that Feral Druid is probably a little bit more important to me than what he will say. That is not the case in 10.1. How Versatility works and how it worked in the past is due to Incarn and due to Bite or shred biting, and just doing that rotation nonstop for so long. Basically, what that did on your DPS windows when you open up your damage meters, it basically is just making it so the majority of your damage, because those are the only spells you're casting, is shred and bite. Now, when you sim yourself, it's going to look at, hey, you're doing so much of those spells. What are the 2 stats that affect those spells specifically? Well, that is crit and Versatility. Okay, Mastery only affects 1. Haste doesn't affect any. So that's why you'd see versatility creep up. But this expansion, we're getting forced out of that rotation with the change of Berserk. So we are going to, overall, when you look at your DPS meters, overall we're going to be casting a lot less shreds. Therefore, versatility is going to be way, way down than what it used to be. Generally, what I say is like as the stats, versatility is more of a single target. Haste is more of an AoE. That is not the case anymore. Versatility on like if you numbered it, I would put versatility as number 6. Okay, it's way down here. Try to avoid it if you can. It's not the end of the world, but there are better stats, right? Okay, now what I like about this, and I don't agree completely with this, what I like about this is Mastery and Haste are together, okay? This is very important for the player base to understand because for whatever reason, when I was trying to say, hey, you guys, Haste is good, nobody cared, okay? And I think everybody has a really bad opinion of Haste. So this is going to be very good for the stubborn player base. Okay, so Haste is good. Now, is it comparable to Mastery? I don't think so. I think he's overvaluating the effects that Haste will have on the 4 set. But what I would probably say is crit equals Mastery, and then as the third stat, go Haste. Now, as you start gearing yourself and you're getting optimized in gear and you have a lot of crit, you have a lot of mastery, you may see Haste creeping up to be closer to your mastery and more important to your mastery, but that's probably when you have mastery like over a K or 2 higher than your Haste, right? So obviously, as he says, sim yourself, but the reason why Haste is good is, first of all, it affects your bleeds, it affects your tick rates, which is good for M+, for certain percentages, and M+, and getting you those free bite procs. But what this is going to do is this is going to affect your tier set. It's going to affect the basic, mostly when we're looking at DPS, is going to be affecting your 4 set. Now, what I want you to be thinking about when you look at this, you say Haste equals Mastery. What I want you to think about why this is not the case is ask you a question. Does the tier set alone, the 2-piece and the 4 set, do those alone net you damage? You'll be like, well, yeah, it does. The answer is no, okay? What I want you to think about is the tier set is a mechanism to assist you in doing more damage. But the tier set doesn't do damage itself, okay? The tier set gives you more agility so that when you cast your abilities, they're going to be enhanced with agility. The tier set also nets you free combo points. That's going to assist you in getting off more bites. So when you're looking at your DPS meters over here, you are going to see what are the top damages. Well, they're going to be your bites, okay, specifically. Or in M+, you're going to see it be your bleeds, in which Haste is very good and maybe closer to Mastery. But what I want you to think of is this Haste is going to be a mechanism to assist your 4-piece from happening more often. Oh, bad. Mic turned out. How you convert that to damage is going crit and mastery. Okay, so hopefully you understand. But yeah, just take a look at your damage meters and be like, oh, crit and mastery are going to affect this. Haste is going to be a mechanism now. Once you have a lot of crit, once you have a lot of mastery, that's when you start looking at, hey, I want this mechanism to occur more often, right? But I wouldn't say it's equal to mastery, just because, hey, mastery affects bite, and we all know what bite does to our damage, even in AoE. It's ridiculous, right? Where Haste isn't going to be affecting bite at all. I think that's it, you guys. I'm probably going to be doing videos like this in the past, low effort. I'm not going to lie, I get a little annoyed because I do usually spend a lot of time, too much time, and then I think I just get mocked with my content, and I just don't want to be doing that anymore. It's just too much effort on my part, and for that. But hopefully this was beneficial to you. Hopefully I put some information out there that was good. Good luck in 10.1. Wish you the best. But that's it for me. Take it easy, everybody. Peace out.